he may try to diminish me and make me seem inconsequential by saying, oh, this is just for the here and now. But I was cooking for him. I was going down on him. I was sleeping with him. Well, I wasn't going down on him just yet, but I was sleeping with him. We were going out together. We were doing all the role playing of a spot of a husband and wife relation. Not husband and wife, but not in the sense of like the legalities, but in the sense of, definitely in the sense of the day-to-day, like, you know, things that you do together with a person. Definitely, if not that, boyfriend and girlfriend, right? So there we were as boyfriend and girlfriend, just with him being very reluctant to say it. And then I noticed on his you know, Instagram page, he only had pictures of like blonde girls. You know, he only had pictures of like blonde white girls with himself, right? And his sister was blonde and his cousin was blonde. These girls were all like blonde. And sure, there were like some brunettes and stuff, but they're always like, you know, with a group of people in the background somewhere. But he was always like profiling himself as like, you know, he was blonde himself, but as being this like white guy with very white interests. And like, you know, just like, you know, if you consider what Instagram is, it's just like this smoke and mirrors. It's kind of like, you know, appearances are everything. And it's like, this is the best part of me. So if you consider what people try to portray on on a place like Instagram, when they try to portray themselves as like, you know, the best of you know, this is the best of my life. If this is the idea, then you can imagine when somebody only puts on, you know, blonde girls, like they're trying to say that these are the, you know, this is the what is lauded in society. This is who I'm with, right? I am with the most coveted types, you know, of women. And so, and as lowly thinking as that is, I just couldn't like find myself going that low. I saw it, but I didn't want to see it. And so there he was, being, you know, a white supremacist or eugenicist on his Instagram, like, you know, clearly like going for a certain, don't even get me started on like preference. It's not about preference. This is because he was totally with me. But this is about him giving an image and portraying, you know, kind of like what was so-called esteemed or deemed, you know, like worthy to put out there. And so here he was putting out all these images. I didn't really, it didn't bother me because quite frankly, I know my worth. I knew my worth then. I just was I was at a standstill in terms of what was happening in my life. And then my daughter was like writing me saying she wanted to run away at one point. And I just was like, so I wasn't really, you know, so invested in that. But I do remember feeling very disrespected because I felt like, oh wow, like, you know, I had never heard someone say that to me before. But I just was like, yeah, whatever, you're not really something to write home about anyway. But I didn't say anything. I just, you know. And then I remember this time where still in this place where he was like, oh, you know, you don't have an identity, all this nonsense, right? And this guy, this really handsome guy came from Canada, and he was, or from the top of the US. And he was, I think he was Canadian, but he must have been somewhere right at that border. Anyway, he was on some kind of soul seeking sojourn, right? And he was coming from the top and he was going all the way down. He drove on his bike, on his Harley Davidson, all the way down to California. And he came to stay at the mansion. And there I was, you know, and he came in and I thought, oh, what a handsome guy. He was so handsome. He was like a mix with like an Asian and white mix. And I believe he was adopted. I don't remember his name. Let's call him Derek or Duncan. But Duncan was like such a dream, right? Such a dream. That name does him no justice. It was something more Chevalier, but yeah, I don't remember what his name was. But yeah, I remember just him being such a handsome guy, and he came in the back and he was a loner. He this guy did not like, you know, mix with other people. Everybody was like trying to know each other and give me your Instagram and give me your Facebook and give me your this, and everybody was trying to like really like know each other and like, you know, be on each other's like stuff, social media. Not him. He came in, he was super quiet, he stuck to himself. He just came in and went out, you know. And then one day I was talking to him, and the house was like completely empty. And I was talking to him, and he said to me, "Do you want to go for a ride?" He was suggesting we go to Venice or Santa Monica, and I was like, "Yeah, why not?" There was nothing happening, and so there was nothing happening at the house, and I said, "Yeah, why not?" And so I got ready, and he disappeared. I think he was also getting ready too. And then he came out, and then I was taking pictures by his bike. I thought it was really cute. I thought, I wanted to ride a bike when I was younger, and I got my license, but I just never got on a bike. I got my theory license, but not my practical license. It just didn't work out for me. And after my jaw break, when I fell off the bike, I never bothered to even bother, like, to do anything risky again. And and so he took me on the bike, and no, oh, okay, right. So right before we're leaving, when he was taking pictures and stuff, I saw my daughter's dad pop around, like he was like hovering or whatever, right? Whatever the heck he was doing, he was hovering, and he sees that I'm talking to this guy. And he being the very like insecure person he is, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't come in and say, "Oh, hi, what's happening?" and introduce himself or anything normal. He just kind of like pretends that he doesn't see I'm talking to someone else. And he just comes in, and then he goes back out, and then he comes in and he goes back out. And I'm seeing him there, but I'm just like, I'm talking to this other person. He does nothing to like join us or like even indicate that he does nothing to acknowledge me. And so he's the one coming in, right? So he should greet the people in the room. English etiquette says, but he doesn't. And so I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'm over it. And I'm frankly tired of his disrespect. Like the disrespect of like acting as if I'm not there. I'm invisible some of the time, but I can be had sex with, but just like not for the rest, like insignificant. And so so he's hovering, and then we get ready to meet, and we're ready to go, right? So I say nothing to him. I'm like, what, you want to be like stupid, like that's go right ahead. And so I go on the bike, and we take off, and I don't know what the hell happens to this guy, but I do remember that occasion. And I remember this person, just I guess it was more like he's realizing that other guys were looking at me, noticing me, not treating me as badly as he did. Like other guys were not like acting as if I was a nobody. And here he was, here was him acting as if I was a nobody. And so, and trust me, it was all an act. I came to find out it was all an act, a way of like, keeping a woman down, making a woman, tapping into her mind, hijacking her mind, making her feel psychologically inferior, and then like ruling her, right? It's not to say he wasn't absolutely floored about me or like didn't really like me. Like I said, the woman Mai Leng in the kitchen was like, "Oh my God, I just love, and you guys are in love, and I just love it." And then she disclosed to me that he was coming in that very day that went to the mansion, the very first day, and saying to her how he's never seen a more beautiful woman. I didn't know this at the time. But anyway, so he was, playing it cool as if I was nobody. So, okay, great. So I go with this guy out, and seeing that our relationship is undefined, right? We have no relationship according to him. So he wants like have his cake and eat it too. He wants so what happened to him was he came face to face with something he created. He didn't want me. He never called me his girlfriend. He never, acted as if I was his girlfriend in the sense that he introduced me to other people like that, or in the sense that it was like some kind of official, introduction. There was none of that. But there were all the things, the symbols, the behavior of spouses, right? And so how crazy was that here's someone trying to downplay my significance, trying to downplay me as a human being, in one capacity, and then another guy coming in and saying, oh, this is a really intelligent person I want to talk to, and I'm going to take her on a ride. And I was like, okay, let's go. And so I don't feel in any way bad about what happened, because it was him. Had he said to me, I want to see you exclusively, I want it to just be you alone, I don't want any other guy to think that they can make a play or something, great. But he didn't. And so off I went, and I went with Duncan to Santa Monica. It was great. Not once did Duncan come on to me. Not once. He was a complete stand-up gentleman. We spoke about mundane things, and I even told him about some of the issues I was having in my life, this transition I was going in. And I honestly look back at that and I wonder if Duncan wasn't one of those angels. It says angels walk among us unawares. And call me well, don't call me loony, but I swear to God, this guy was so mysterious and angelic. This guy was just straight up. It's rare when I meet a man who has not made me a sexual object. It's weird when I meet a man who actually, because at the time I wasn't really wearing high heels a lot, but I loved high heels. I had no flat shoes. I had one pair of flat shoes then, and that's what I wore when I saw him. But usually every time I meet a guy, it's a sexual, they connect me some way sexually to something in their head, some fantasy or whatever. But it was such a relief to meet someone who treated me with such respect and just spoke to me straight and didn't deviate or didn't do any crazy things or didn't hold me down, didn't try his way, and it just felt like such a relief, and I just felt so good. And we went back home and he disappeared into whatever, and I think the next day then poof, he was gone, right? Or the next 2 days or whatever. And I thought, wow, that's so bizarre. He just felt like an angel for me. And I can't say he felt the same way for my daughter's dad, but I noticed after that he started to treat me different. This is where he began to realize that I was not he couldn't control me and just have me do whatever he wanted, right? And so he began to treat me a little bit better, I want to say, in the sense that he was not just, because what would happen is I would make dinner, he would just disappear, he'd be smoking somewhere or doing something weird, and just not like a real man, not like a man, like a boy. And I remember just feeling so ew, this is not mature, and it was being very turned off by his behavior. And so now he would just want to do things more with me, treat me a little bit more respectfully, in the sense that he would ask me, questions more. It's also another problem I've had with men I've been with. They have never really had an interest in asking my opinion, just doing things, and just I had to just comply. It was just yeah, just comply because, just I'm gonna do this anyway. And so here was, he was finally asking my opinion, and being just more, treating me like a human being. More of, and not just because when we were friends, because we were friends before, when we were friends, he treated me as a human, but now that we're in a relationship, he was treating me as if I was a human, and at the same time as if I was in a relationship with him. So then, and it's very different. It's very different to just be friends with someone and them to acknowledge as a human being, but then to be in a relationship and a person to acknowledge you is also, there are ways that a person can be a friend and a person can be there are ways that a person can be a friend